What's up, guys? Welcome back to Boxing X-Ray, and today we're basically going to talk about the heavyweight division and how they were able to actually put the heavyweight division back on top using laws, shadow laws as I like to call them, and how they were able to back their fighters with these shadow laws and actually use it to put whoever they want on top in the heavyweight division. Of course, this video is going to surround the current heavyweight champion of the world right now, Tyson Fury, and how he was able to be on top and what did they do to put this man on top. I'll explain even a story of Deontay Wilder and other fighters that Tyson Fury faced. Now, Tyson Fury was a good fighter, came from a fighting background, but he had a problem. He had a problem, and the problem was he couldn't make weight. Any fighter that Tyson Fury fought that was on his level beat him. And to prove this, you have a fighter called John Mcdermott, who was his fellow countryman. John Mcdermott beat Tyson Fury the first time they fought. And when they fought the first time, they were both considered to be super heavyweight. Tyson Fury was over 254 pounds. He was a super heavyweight. And John Mcdermott was the same. They were both guys that were fighting as a super heavyweight, and Tyson Fury lost. They gave the fight to Tyson Fury though, based on the fact that they want Tyson Fury to be on top.
Going into the last round, my corner told me, John, you're in front, you're at least 4 rounds in front, keep on him. I thought the last round was level. I thought I well nicked it. I honestly thought I nicked it.
Try and tell us how you're feeling now after a verdict like that.
You know how it's absolutely ridiculous. I beat Danny Williams hands down in Dagenham, and they give it away. No, I beat someone to give them English title. They give it away again. What have I got to do to win it? I'm a nice guy. I don't let my people down. I'm a nice, genuine guy. He's the one showing his mouth off. You know he's a nice guy. Maybe he's a nice guy down to earth, but he's the one with a big mouth. And I'll get penalised for it.
He did say he'd give you a rematch. Do you want one?
I'll have a rematch. Yeah, I'll have a rematch, mate. I'll definitely have a rematch.
Frank, can that fight happen?
Definitely, that was a bigger robbery than the Holyfield Lewis draw. I mean, you know, I'm sure to be called up before the ball for my behaviour, but Terry O'Connor, it's a disgrace to British boxing what he done here tonight. And doing that, you know, people are like, why do I want to be in a business when you're getting robbed? Daylight robbery. He didn't even have a mask on. Dick Turpin at least wears a mask when he robs you.
Unlucky time.
Strong words from the fight promoter there.
That they want Tyson Fury to be on top. He was marketable. He was talkative. He knew how to sell a fight, and he came from a fighting background and a family that was that understand the business of boxing. This is the reason why they actually cheated for him the first time in boxing. This was the first time they actually cheated for Tyson Fury. You can go ahead and look that up. Now, not only that, the second fight, John Mcdermott lost the second fight. He was going through some family issues, and he had a really hard time, you know, training because of these family issues he was going through. Needed the money, needed the cash. They gave him another contract. Tyson Fury came in 20 pounds, I think around 20 pounds heavier, and actually beat John Mcdermott in the second fight. However, his Tyson Fury countryman did not want to fight him because at that time he was way too big for these fighters. He was bigger than him and he weighed more. And this was one of the reasons why Tyson Fury fell into depression, because nobody wanted to fight Tyson Fury because he was too big. He was too heavy. He could not make the heavyweight division. He was a super heavyweight. And nobody wanted to fight him because he was considered to be a super heavyweight. Now, they needed to revitalize Tyson Fury. And how do you revitalize a fighter who cannot make weight? Well, you make a law for him. And that law was called the Bridgerweight, or the Bridgerweight Law. Now, the Bridgerweight Law was actually in effect way before Tyson Fury, but the Boxing Commission abandoned it because of fairness. What do you mean? Okay, let me explain. Well, way back then, Tommy Burns versus Jack Johnson. Now, Jack Johnson was considered to be a cruiserweight / heavyweight, and Tommy Burns was considered to be a welterweight. 34 pounds different. And Jack Johnson, as expected, mopped the floor with Tommy Burns because he was 34 pounds heavier than Tommy Burns. Now, it sparked an uproar within the boxing community, and the Boxing Commission was forced to abandon this law. And because they were forced to abandon it, this is the reason why nobody heard about the Bridgerweight law. However, this law was not taken off boxing. It was not removed from the laws of boxing. It was just put on the sideline for later down in the future. And this is where Tyson Fury come in. Now, to reinvent Tyson Fury, they needed to put out the Bridgerweight law out there because Tyson Fury could not make weight. Do y'all get where I'm going with this? The first time they had it with Jack Johnson, Tommy Burns, the boxing fans screamed foul play, and they had to abandon it. Now they reinvented it for Tyson Fury. And when they reinvented for Tyson Fury started fighting cruiserweights. How do you know all of this? Well, Steve Cunningham versus Tyson Fury. Steve Cunningham was considered to be a cruiserweight. Every fight before Tyson Fury, Steve Cunningham fought as a cruiserweight, except one fight leading up to Tyson Fury. And in this fight, Steve Cunningham still weighed less than the other fighter. And how do you know this? Well, thanks to his coach, Nazim. Nazim was a really, really good boxing coach. May his soul rest in peace. Was one of the best boxing coach out there, and he's from Philly, so he really doesn't take no shit. And he was straightforward, and he told you like it is. Now, how do you know this? Well, I can let the videos even speak for itself, but I'm gonna elaborate. Now, when Steve Cunningham and Tyson Fury faced off, Tyson Fury was way too big for Steve Cunningham. Now, Steve Cunningham even said this, and Nazim even said this. Why are you fighting a guy that is way smaller than you? But they didn't have a choice because
I have a lightweight fighter. If the guy's not a lightweight, we don't want to fight him. I have a heavyweight fighter. If he's not a heavyweight, don't match us up.
He's not a heavyweight, he's a cruiserweight.
Like I let you speak. My thing is, if you're not a heavyweight, why would you be fighting the guy who's not a heavyweight? Why would your people think?
Shall I tell you why?
And then you say
another
it's
heavyweight
the
on the
best.
planet wants to step in the ring.
But then
He
you
talks
say it's the
about
best guy you
Klitschko.
fought.
Vladimir Klitschko's the
and Nazim even said this. Why are you fighting a guy that is way smaller than you? But they didn't have a choice because of the what? The Bridgerweight law. So Tyson Fury was fighting a cruiserweight because of the Bridgerweight law, and Steve Cunningham Nazim owed a favor. To who? I'll let the video speak for itself.
I respect you. One is, I respect you because Kathy Duvin them bring you to the table.
Don't make the same mistake that the Mayweathers made, thinking I'm a chump, that I'm just big. Kevin Johnson made the same mistake. He got beat to death for 12 rounds. Listen, you ain't in the same level as Kevin Johnson. You're a small man, you're chinny, you're getting knocked.
Now, do you get it? Tyson Fury versus Klitschko, another match. Klitschko was a cruiserweight. Every fight that Klitschko had, he fought as a cruiserweight. Klitschko was a cruiserweight versus a super heavyweight. Even a fight before Steve Cunningham and Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury was still over 250 pounds. He was a cruiserweight. Now, how did they do this? How did they actually pull this off? Well, they reinvented the Bridgerweight law and actually removed the weight division for heavyweight. So there was no more super heavyweights. They actually make heavyweights. It's only heavyweights now. And if this is not foul play, then I ask people, trolls and detractors, then why do we have in the Olympics, why do we have a super heavyweight division? And we don't have it in professional fights. Why is there a super heavyweight division in the Olympics and not in a professional fight? It's because they needed to reinvent Tyson Fury. There was no fights out there for him. Nobody was fighting him because he couldn't make weight. And any fighter who fought Tyson Fury fought him under the Bridgerweight law. Klitschko versus Tyson Fury, you could actually see the guy recalibrating the scale right in front of your eyes. Klitschko was never a heavyweight. He was a cruiserweight, and Tyson Fury was a super heavyweight. Isn't that foul play? Think about it. When Gervonta Davis went to Britain and he weighed over the scale, they actually stripped him off his title. But when Tyson Fury weighed over the scale, they never stripped him off his title. You see the hypocrisy here? Do you understand what I'm saying to y'all here? I'm dropping some gems on y'all here. Even Nazim said it. I'm dropping a lot of gems. Steve Cunningham was a very, very good fighter. And to prove the fact that even Steve Cunningham felt the wrath of this Bridgerweight law that they had for Tyson Fury. And this is the main law where he can go around and fight anybody he wished. Now, because of this, Steve Cunningham, when he fought the heavyweight leading up to Tyson Fury, he was still smaller than that heavyweight. Nazim even said it. And then you think about it, he went right back down to cruiserweight. His next fight was in the cruiserweight division. Who does that? Who moves up and then come back down the next fight? Doesn't make any sense. And he's not running from nobody in the heavyweight division. He wasn't running. It's because he was a natural cruiserweight. Same thing with Klitschko. Same thing with Klitschko. Klitschko was a cruiserweight. Now, to keep on moving here, and I always ask, especially most of the white American fans who claim they are patriotic. Now, Deontay Wilder went to the Olympics and fought for the American flag. And how can you be patriotic if you're rooting for Wilder to lose and you're actually rooting for somebody else to win from a different country? Isn't that hypocrisy? It sure is hypocrisy. And even though the other fighter is cheating from a different country, you allow it based on what? Personal agenda, based on the color of that guy's skin. And this is what I'm saying here. This is how you know that boxing is a dirty sport and racism still exists in boxing. Even when the glove tampering incident was going on, they still allowed the glove tampering to go on, even though they knew that the gloves was tampered with. If we're both looking at a branch and we're seeing the branch fall off the tree, how can you say it's not a branch, it's a piece of brick? Doesn't make any sense. Once you put your hands in them gloves, you can never flip-flop. Do you understand where I'm going with this? Now, Wilder didn't understand that when you're fighting a fighter like Tyson Fury and you're going against a corporation or you're going against these big boxing corporation or these big boxing contractors, you're actually going up against these laws that they have for their fighters. See, they use these laws as perks for their fighters to actually bring them up or to bury them if they want to. Now, Wilder going in as a free agent, not knowing that they have these laws surrounding them. So when Wilder agreed to the fight, not knowing that Tyson Fury could actually fight under whatever weight class he wanted to fight under. He can go up to 300 pounds right now and fight a guy who's actually 215 pounds because of the Bridgerweight title. And it wouldn't make a difference. So even if he agreed, when he said, okay, I need you to make weight, they can say, wait, my fighter does not have to make weight because under my corporation or under my contract or under my promotion, I have the Bridgerweight law in effect. And this is how they would trap you. So all these fighters that Tyson Fury fought, he fought these guys when he was a super heavyweight and these guys are heavyweight. It's not just Wilder that got robbed by this. All these fighters that he fought. And you could go back and you could check the weigh-in. See, the weigh-ins and the weight division are designed for fairness in the sport of boxing. This is why we have weight division, to create fairness in the sport of boxing. But when it's and if you think about the whole situation here, and you look deeper into it, you can actually see the foul play. Now, another thing that people don't understand in boxing is when you're a fighter, what makes a good fighter is that this fighter has a team around him. This is one of the main reasons why they hated Floyd Mayweather. Is because Floyd Mayweather had a team around him, and this is what Floyd Mayweather made Floyd Mayweather untouchable in the sport of boxing. Is because his lawyers, his promoters, his people that he have around him would shut down any foul play that they had. If they wanted to use the gloves and the glove wasn't up to standard, there was a law stating that, listen, if you're not using this type of glove and this glove is reacting this type of way, there's a $20 million fine waiting. And this is how this is why Floyd Mayweather was the man in the sport of boxing, because of his team that surrounded him, how they market him and how they move him forward. And they could never get the upper hand on Floyd, because his team and his lawyers would actually straighten out whatever shadow law they have in these contracts when he was supposed to fight his opponent. Do you get where I'm going with this, y'all? Now, see, boxing is a dirty sport and a corruption. It's very, very corrupt. Now, people might look at me and say, bro, how do you know all this information? Well, I had a coach who was a very, very spiritual dude, and he could not let me sign a contract. And I'm asking him one day, and every time you would see this coach, he used to have a Bible in his hands. And I'm sitting down one day, and he started telling me the ins and outs on boxing and how dirty boxing is. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's looking in my eyes, dead serious, and listen to me, son. All right, listen to me, young buck. And that's what they call us in Philly, young buck. He said, listen to me, young buck. This is what it is. You know, boxing has these laws that surround it. And when you sign off on a contract, you sign off onto these shadow laws. And I'm looking at him like he's crazy, because I was just, 21? And I'm like looking at him, and he's sitting down dead, looking me dead in the eye. I said, listen, I can teach you everything you want to know, but I don't have what it takes to actually make you sign off on a boxing contract. You got to do that yourself. I'm not going to put you out there so you could sign a contract. No, you got to go out there and sign that contract yourself. And he always told me it's better to be a free agent in boxing than actually to work for a corporation, because now you get your money, you pay your people off, and it's done. You don't have nobody controlling the flow of your money as a free agent. And he used to tell me, like, listen, you got to understand, this is how boxing works. I have $20,000 in my pocket, and I would bet on myself, like, hey, I'm going to knock him out in the 8th round. And yet, let's say I knock him out in the 8th round, I win $100,000 at the casino. And this is why most people don't understand boxing until they start betting and they start to realize, like, hey, I'm getting duped over here based on these fights. You know what I mean? I bet on this. How did it move to this? What's going on? You know, so you got to understand, even passing the torch. Klitschko was passing the torch to even to Tyson Fury. He passed the torch to Tyson Fury, and he also passed the torch to Anthony Joshua. Everybody know that Anthony Joshua cannot fight. We know this. Even the Povetkian fight, Povetkian was old versus Anthony Joshua. Yes, they're currently in the same weight division, but Povetkian was old. He was an old fighter, and he still owed a favor. And this is why I'm telling you, favors in boxing is like getting shot in both legs and say, keep on walking. You got to do it. It's just something that you have to follow through with. Boxing is a very, very dirty sport. And the more you watch it, the more you understand how dirty it is. Now, let's continue here. Now, leading up to the whole situation where Tyson Fury and Wilder faced off, they will even send coaches. This is another thing people don't know. And my trainer actually told me this. They would send coaches from different camps to train you just so you could actually fail in the long run if they don't want you on top. Think about it. Mark Breland was sent to Deontay Wilder. And after a while, you're telling me the biggest fight of his life, you have bubbles floating around in the water bottle. And at the same time, you have a man throwing in the towel and sit back down. That shit never happened. Not even in the amateur league. Even in the amateur league, you know what they would do? They would actually watch the ref stop the fight instead of throwing in the towel and sit down. They never throw in that towel and sit down. That's something that does not happen in boxing. How the fuck do you throw in a towel and sit down after you see and watch this fighter put in all this hard work and he's still in there fighting? It's not like he's getting, it's not like he's not throwing punches. He's still throwing punches. Why the fuck would you stop the fight and sit down and throw in the towel and then sit back down and your guy is still in there punching? Doesn't make any sense. And it doesn't happen in the amateur league where they're throwing the towel and sit down. That shit is heartless. So this is how you know that Mark Breland was over there to sell Deontay Wilder out. It is what it is. You gotta understand the game of boxing and how they play this dirty sport. You know what I mean? And a lot of time people don't get this and they don't understand the reason why a lot of information doesn't go out there and get out there in time is because black boxers doesn't really have a media that is willing to tell the truth. And a lot of the time when you have black media that is out there that reach a high profile where they have a lot of following and all that stuff, they're being bought and paid for by these same big media corporation who have these shadow laws to actually make their fighter look good. You get what I'm saying? Most of these big media channels that cover the sport of boxing is actually bought and paid for by these same boxing corporation that is actually promoting the fighter or have the fighter on the roster. And this is why they always be talking so great about this fighter, even though they know that there's a lot of foul play surrounding these fighters. Think about it. Even Canelo. Look at the fight that Canelo is actually fighting in 2021. His last fight for 2021. That fight should have never happened. That fight is completely hogwash. I would never watch that fight. But it is what it is in the sport of boxing. They promote whosoever they want to be on top. And they want to compare Canelo to Floyd Mayweather. Come on, man. Floyd Mayweather was beating Latinos. They said he's not fighting nobody. He started beating up his own people. He's not fighting nobody. He went over to Britain. He started dominating the people in Britain. He's still not fighting everybody. He can never get the respect he deserved. And this is because the media spread that hate on him. And black fans doesn't even realize this man is actually paving the way for black people in the sport of boxing to actually elevate themselves. He just started a company where he actually taking over the betting aspect of boxing, where you can now bet on these fights using his app that he has created to bet on his fighters. Isn't that the same thing what these big boxing corporation was doing before? And now you have a black fighter that actually paved the way and do the same thing that they're doing to bring up his own people into the sport of boxing. How can you not be the GOAT after that? You defeat all odds, bought yourself out of a contract, and now you're your own boss and actually making moves for yourself and for your people. And you're still not considered the GOAT. And some of your own people are saying you're not the GOAT. Come on, man, you are the GOAT. You did all of that, you have to be the GOAT. You beat the best they had. Another thing people don't understand in the sport of boxing is a time game. It's a chess match and it takes time. This is just my opinion on it, but I highly believe that Deontay Wilder should have let Tyson Fury wait and move up these ranks like how he was doing. Actually fought bigger opponents to actually made his name. Let him go fight Ortiz. Let him chase you down. Wilder was chasing the action. And he was right to chase the action, don't get me wrong. Because they cheated him out of the first and the second fight and the third fight. You know, but he was not wrong to chase the action. But at the same time, there's time when you gotta make fighters work for the action. So they can create the same damages you're doing to yourself by taking these dangerous fights. Let them go out there and take these dangerous fights just the same way. And stop letting them pick these easy fights and then you chase them down. Do you get how boxing operate now? Do you get what I'm trying to say here? And then when you finally fight the guy, you finally give him a chance, he has these shadow laws surrounding him. And these whole group of people actually making the fight unfair, and you can't say anything about it. You got to follow through with it because it's a law that they have to back them up, and you already signed your name. Boxing is a dirty sport. And it is what it is. I see a lot of people comment on my videos all the time. Oh, the first video that I put out with Wilder and Mark Breland, that I should take it down because I'm telling the truth. You know what I mean? And I'm never going to take that video down. Look how small my channel is, and it has been shadow banned. Look how small it is. It's a very, very small channel. But I spit facts, and I'm not rushing to get the information out there. Everything I tell you about the Bridgerweight law and Tyson Fury, you can go ahead, look up the weigh-ins, look up the how much he weighs, and you can actually see it for yourself. Why did they abandon the heavyweight division, the super heavyweight division in professional boxing? Because Tyson Fury is considered to be a super heavyweight, and they did not abandon the super heavyweight division in the Olympics. These are some next level information that I'm giving out. And then they reinvent the Bridgerweight law. In effect, for who? Tyson Fury. And the whole time these fighters are actually fighting him, they're not catching on to it until they sign their name to actually fight him. And they realize like he's not making weight. And they say, "Oh, come you're not making weight? Let him make weight." Well, we have the Bridgerweight law in effect. Boxing is dirty, man. Boxing is dirty. And like, this is a short video out there, but this is some information that I had from a very long time. And I just wanted to see if anybody was going to talk about it, and nobody ever did. Never did talk about it. So I had these information stored up for a long time. So I just want to put this one out there and let's show you that, listen, boxing, when it comes to boxing and the current heavyweight division they have right now is totally ridiculous. Now they're going to put Tyson Fury on top because there's nobody else there to stop him but either Wilder or Luis Ortiz. And think about it, if you even fight Ife Jagba and all these type of guys, they're still considered to be too small for him because he's still going to move up in weight. Do you get it? That's how they operate in the sport of boxing. He's never gonna fight, a guy that is big, have the same weight as him and as big as him. There's nobody there. Not gonna happen. So he's gonna rise above Anthony Joshua, and he's gonna rise above Usyk. Usyk is also way too small for Tyson Fury. Usyk is a cruiserweight. No goddamn heavyweight. Come on, man. The setup is real. It is what it is when it comes to boxing, man. You just got to understand how they play the game and how they try to play these people and fighters as well. And that's how Tyson Fury rose to the top. And this is how we all come to the current heavyweight division that we have now. Because of the Bridgerweight law and what they did to abandon the weight division in boxing when it comes to heavyweight and super heavyweights. I'm out, y'all. Peace.